In this tutorial, I wanted to talk to you about two new plugins from Here 360 called Earth and Sky. We're going to use them to convert a stereo mix into a 7.1 mix that we can actually mix and monitor on the headphones. And there's no decoder needed. All you need is Pro Tools 11 or 12 HD and the new Here 360 suite of plugins. I'll put a link down in the notes below. Earth is our horizontal spatialization tool. When used on a mono, stereo, or 7.1 track, it lets you mute, solo, and audition each of the individual 7.1 buses in normal stereo headphones. So what does Sky do? Sky adds elevation. You would typically bus a track to Sky to add elevation to a mix. Like Earth, Sky has the ability to solo or mute the individual channels for auditioning. Unlike Earth, Sky might only be used on a few channels. For example, in this mix here, I might send, say, the horns or the guitars to the Sky channels, but I don't think I want to send the drums to the elevated channels. So let's dig in. I can show you how to do this in 4 easy steps. First, we're going to create some new buses in the I/O setup. Then we're going to send all the tracks to Earth and bus some of the tracks to Sky. Third, we'll replace the master fader with some Here 360 buses. And then finally, we'll mix and surround sound in headphones. Step 1. Go to the Setup menu and choose I/O Setup. Start by looking at the Buses tab. We want to make a new path. In this case, we want to make a new third-order ambisonics path. We're going to name that Earth and Sky. Great, now we need to add some new subpaths. Select Earth and Sky, and then click on the New Subpath button. We want to add a 7.1 subpath for Earth, and we'll name it Earth. And we want to make one more quad subpath because Sky is a quad-in 7.1 out. So let's go ahead and name that Sky. Earth used the first 8 slots of our ambisonic path, so we need to move the 4 outputs of Sky to occupy the next 4 slots. This session is in Pro Tools 12 HD. If you're using Pro Tools 11 HD, you're going to need to create separate paths for both Earth and Sky. Press New Path, create a 7.1 path, and again we're going to name it Earth. Command-Shift arrow down, and we'll make another quad path, and we're going to name it Sky. And then make sure you have a 7.1 bus as well as a 7.1 output in your mix. So that's it for step 1. Let's move on to step 2. We're going to send all the tracks to Earth and bus some of the tracks to Sky. I'm going to select all the tracks by clicking on the track name and then holding down the Option key and sending all the tracks out to the Earth bus. Remember, if you're using Pro Tools 11 HD, you want to use the individual Earth bus that we made. In this mix, I'm only going to send 2 tracks to Sky. In this case, I'm going to use the sends to bus both the horns and the guitars over to the Sky bus. For 11 HD, you want to choose the individual Sky bus that we made. So now we have all of the tracks running into the Earth bus, with only 2 of the tracks being sent into the Sky bus. So now let's replace the master bus with Earth and Sky. I'll right-click on the master fader and choose Hide and Make Inactive, and hit Command-Shift-N to create some new aux tracks. And remember, we're making a 7.1 aux for Earth, and we're making a quad aux for Sky. And let's name our tracks. We're going to name the 7.1 aux Earth, and we're going to name the quad aux Sky. Depending on how you view your plugins, you can either find us in the Soundfield directory or in the Here 360 directory. So let's go ahead and pull up Earth on the 7.1 aux, and then set that track's input to Earth. And we'll do the same with Sky. We'll pull it up from the list of inserts. Remember, Sky is a quad-in 7.1 plugin, so if Pro Tools warns you with a dialog box, go ahead and press the Add button. We can now change Sky's output to the 7.1 output, and then change its input to the Sky bus. Now on to the final step, mixing. So now let's take a second to talk about the interface of both Earth and Sky. Let's just go ahead and rearrange on the screen, and we'll press play and let you hear a little bit of the music. You'll see that the interface shows that there's a left, a right, and a center signal flowing through Earth. That's because everything is still in a stereo field and has not been spread out into the surround field yet. Command-click on both Earth and Sky bus to make sure that they're in solo safe mode. And let's bring up the surround panner for the vocal track. can tell when I click and drag it around that you can hear the sound moving around your head.
Always and only just enough. They say just around.
So in this case, I think it sounds pretty good right there. This is just a real quick mix. Let's move on to the guitar track and open up its surround panner. You can see as I drag the panner around, it affects different sound fields. Next, let's listen to the horns. We'll open up their surround panner and see what they add to the mix. Okay, that's good right about there. Now let's add some sky for elevation. You'll see as we raise the volume to the send that the sky's interface will light up similar to Earth. So you see now I can take any track and place it within the surround 7.1 field and give it elevation. And I'm listening only through normal stereo headphones. I would recommend taking the time to listen to every single track on its own and then in context with the rest of the mix while moving it around in the surround panner to see where it sits best in the surround field. The same thing applies to solo and muting. You'll see that when you solo the drums, the signal is present in the front of the interface but not in the rear. That's because the surround panner is only in the front of the interface. As you move it towards the rear, you can now hear the rear channels. And you can solo and mute, and all of these features are also automatable. So there you go, 7.1 mixing in headphones, brought to you by Here360. Please check out our channel for more tutorials regarding different workflows such as cinema, VR, and post-production. If you have any comments, please feel free to post them below, and thanks for watching.